Hey everybody, what is going on? Hexlex here. I got another Master Duel video for you. So coming at you with some more replays. This time it's going to be with Fiendsmith Punk once again. I have switched up my build a little bit, just ever so slightly, so deck list is going to be at the end of the video. Most notably were the changes I made to the extra deck. Decided to try out Caesar and IP. Didn't really end up summoning either of them though. But didn't also miss the cards that I took out for them, namely the second Amazing Dragon. But yeah, managed to reach Master Rank at the very end of the season here. I'd kind of been procrastinating, you know, between getting back into the groove of things with live streams, which I've actually been doing again recently, both here on YouTube and on Twitch. So if you're interested, definitely make sure you subscribe here on YouTube, or if you'd rather watch over on Twitch, go over there and give a follow and or subscribe. Definitely helps out the channel, no matter where you watch and no matter how you support. Definitely appreciate it. I don't really have schedules going just yet. I'm kind of just going as I feel like it, but I'm definitely going to be streaming a lot of games once the sprite unbans happen. Until then, like I said, I've been just kind of messing around with Punk and yeah, have managed to make it to Master despite not really playing a ton of ranked ladder this season. Was looking at my untapped stats for the whole season. I played, I think, a total of just like 170 games, which is not really that many, and most of them were just for videos. Like I said, got kind of busy with setting up stream stuff again, and Oblivion Remake came out, and I sunk about 70 hours into that, so among playing other single-player games like Balatro and just other stuff too, but yeah, getting back in the swing of things with MD here. And Punk really surprised me, as the title and or thumbnail of this video implies. You know, when I put this deck on the tier list, I put it in upper rogue rank, even for my updated tier list, and I'm thinking that might have been a little bit too low. This deck, I think, is... I don't even think it's just upper tier 3 potential. This might even be a tier 2 deck. And here's the thing. You know, this deck has a lot of room for flexibility in terms of both engine and hand traps, but namely hand traps, which is really good for going second. You're flexible in terms of what kinds of hand traps you can play and how many you can play. Moreover, though, if you win the coin flip with Punk, this deck feels like impossible to lose with. That's been my experience every single game I've queued up. Not just here on Ranked Ladder, but also on my first stream back, we played some viewer duels in a duel row. I played against some of the people who are watching in stream, and played Goblin Biker for a bit and wasn't doing so well, but then I switched to Punk and I just started winning games, and that was definitely true here on Ladder as well. Like I said, when you win the coin flip with this deck, which I'll admit in this run I did a lot, when you win the coin flip with Punk, it really just feels like it's so impossible to lose. And it doesn't even really matter a lot of the time how many hand traps your opponent has. Now, if it's something like Maxi or Droll, those are obviously going to be problems. But even Nib is really easily mitigated thanks to the Fiendsmith engine. There's a lot of hands where you can just open like a Punk starter and a Fiendsmith starter, and then you can just make a 3-mat Appaloosa before you commit to your plays. Also really helps to play around, you know, Ash Blossom against the Rising Carp, which is a you know, death knell for this deck a lot of the time. I mean, if you open Zamin and for a non-engine, your Zamin gets Veilored, you know, that's just going to be the end of your turn a lot of times. So having the Fiendsmith engine to be able to push through those hand traps is super duper good, and I still think it's just going to be the optimal way to play this deck right now. You could, I guess, optionally play Kashtira's as well, but I would always prioritize Fiendsmith before Kashtira's, or even playing this deck pure, to be totally honest. Yeah, so it's not just the, you know, Fiendsmith engine, though. It's the fact that the Punk inboard not only sets up a lot of layered interaction, but also gains you a lot of advantage, right? Of course, you set up the trap card and or the Ghost Ogre search with the Jam Dragon Drive. You have the bounces off the Amazing Dragon. That's the main form of disruption that Punk sets up. We also, a lot of the time, have access to, not this hand in particular, because we had to play through some hand traps, but a lot of the time you'll have the Jam Fever for a monster negate. And those cards you draw are a lot of the time going to be hand traps too, so there's just a lot going on here with the Punk engine as a whole and what all it can do to interact with the opponent. Even outside of just Fiendsmith stuff. Yeah, God, with just 2 cards, this deck is skyrocketed in power level. It's absolutely wild. But it's also not the most surprising. It does kind of seem like that lately they're giving a lot of archetypes just one or two like super power cards to bring them up with the current meta or above the current meta. See Vanquish Soul, you know, currently with the Holy Sue, but we won't have to worry about that in MD for quite some time. Yeah, I would say at the bare minimum, if you can set up the Sharakusai plus the Jam Dragon Drive / another level 8 to go to the Amazing Dragon, if you can do that through hand traps, that's pretty much the ideal of what my turn 1 end board is going to look like. That, of course, lets us go into Amazing Dragon during the opponent's turn and get a bunch of bounces. But yeah, you just have such a lot of huge variety of how you can disrupt your opponent. You've got negates, you've got bounces, you've got destruction with the trap card as well. This game in particular is really funny because my opponent draw phase Fuelos me and I didn't have plays anyway. This was the one game where I bricked on my turn 1 hand, so yeah. One of the reasons I advocate against shotgunning Maxi and Fuelos. I mean, I guess the reason to do it is to not have to really think, which I mean is a valid, you know, reason. I don't think that's invalid at all. But that is about the only reason, I think. But anyway, I already made literally an entire video about this already. I was speaking of other videos, if you're curious about how this deck combos, because I'm not really focusing on that in this particular video, I do have a combo guide that's going to highlight all of the turn 1 combo lines for Punk. It's going to be linked in the description below there. Yeah, I think that, like I said before, this deck is definitely above Rogue where I put it, though. I think Tier 3 is realistically where it's at, but I could see an argument for, you know, it being a lower Tier 2 deck. Trishula recently uploaded a video where he called it, like, the sleeper best deck for the WCQ 2025, and that's kind of what inspired me to pick it up again and go into Ranked Ladder with it. Because before I was just kind of climbing with Primite Fiendsmith control, and like, that deck is very good, but I don't know. It's not unfun to me, but it's not like particularly fun to me either. I was just having a what felt like an average bland 50% experience as far as like my fun meter, right? So, swapped over to Punk after I saw Trish was doing really well with it and hyping it up, and I was like, oh yeah, this deck is good, and I love it. Like, why not play it, you know? And, I don't know, makes me think I might be sleeping on Sprite a little bit too. Lately, I will admit on my, like, tier list, I've been trying to err on the side of caution a little bit, so, like, I don't try to overhype a deck too much or oversell it. And I think, you know, in my attempt to avoid biases against decks I really like, I'm almost creating, like, the opposite effect, where I'm underrating a lot of decks I really like Punk and Sprite, because, I don't know, I feel like if I say they're gonna be really good, and it's hard for me to separate that. Like, am I trying to really say that aside from how much I like them, or do I actually think that could be the case? And yeah, I mean, you know, it's easy to get caught up in that kind of thinking when you're trying to evaluate something and remain objective about it. Oh, this hand was disgusting. Having the 2 E-Teles on top of everything else here is just so good. It means I can not only end on the... Oh wait, no, sorry, I'm thinking of a different game. I thought this was turn 1 here. I don't think we've seen it yet. There is going to be a duel coming up here where I'm able to end on the Psychic End Punisher on turn 1, which is just absolutely wild. On top of, like, you know, other Punk stuff you would normally set up in Fiendsmith stuff, but... Yeah, so I did also tweak the hand trap lineup a little bit too. I'm on a lot of one-ofs, actually, for the Nobleman of... I always call it Nobleman of Crossout, the Crossout Designator. The only kind of hand trap I'm not playing as a one-of for Crossout that I kind of wish I was is Droll, because Droll actually does hurt the second decent bit. Sometimes you can play through Droll just depending on what your opening hand looks like. I think we actually have a game in here somewhere where I do play against Droll, or play through a Droll with the double E-Tele. Yeah, for these replay videos lately, I've kind of been focusing less on the actual games themselves and kind of using them as just background. Not background, you know what I mean. Just stuff to look at while I talk about the deck that's relevant. I remember the first kind of these videos I did, someone in the comments said that I had entered my Subway Surfers era, which, like, listen, I would love to upload videos where I just, like, vomit out my thoughts about the game and there's like no visuals, just a black screen, that'd be very easy to upload and something I could do at length. But you know, at the end of the day, that's just not interesting to look at, and I can definitely acknowledge that. So alright, so they're going to drop a Magnum Hut here. Oh, this game. I'm remembering this game. Yeah, the real problem with this game is that when my opponent just passed with the drill beam and nothing else, I kind of felt like I could play through that without too much trouble, but it was the bestial monsters on top of that that really forced me to, like... Well, it's not that it forced me to do anything necessarily, it's just that it played so well against my Fiendsmith engine, which was how I was trying to bait out the drill beam here. That's another thing about the Fiendsmith engine that's quite good. Even going second, it's really good just to bait out disruption. Well, and also that's true going first, right? Like, aside from just having an Appaloosa, right? To be able to negate something like Nib or Ash against Rising Carp, you know, the Fiendsmith engine is also just very good for baiting out hand traps before you commit to making your punk plays. And really, I think that's what Punk was missing. I mean, not only just the power that, you know, stuff like Jam Fever and Rising Scales provide, but also the ability to not only have negates, which again, you know, Jam Fever helps with, but play through them. Punk, like I said before, really did not have much ability to play through negates. Rising Carp is such a hard choke point, but no longer the case, which is very nice. I mean, it is still sometimes, it does kind of depend game to game, but I would say that, like, maybe 75% of games, I feel like my Rising Carp could get negated, and I would still be able to end on at least, like, you know, an Appaloosa through Fiendsmith stuff or something like that, right? If not, still being able to make Punk plays. Oh, I believe this game here is the one I was referencing earlier where we got hit with the Droll and Lockbird and played through it with double E-Telly. Now, when I say played through it, as you can see here, I don't mean full combo, but ending on the Sharakusai plus Jam Dragon Drive, as you're about to see, is definitely just gonna be good enough. But Droll is probably just the best hand trap against Punk right now. Droll is actually just insane in general right now. Like, yeah, Snake Eye can play through it, but pretty much every other deck in the format right now is susceptible to it, except also like Primite Fiends with Control can play through it pretty well, just by virtue of the way that deck is built and how it plays. But, you know, Blue Eyes has a tough time with Droll, this deck has a tough time with Droll, Murmula Atlantea has a tough time with Droll, I'm pretty sure Memento has a tough time with Droll, right? They do multiple searches and stuff. So, I would like to include a Droll and Lockbird to have against Crossout, or to have with cross, you know what I mean, to be able to cross it out with the designator there, on top of just being a good hand trap. Ghost Ogre continuing to put in a ton of work in this format, not only good in Punk for its synergy, of course, with the E-Telly and Jam Dragon Drive, but just good in general in this format, mostly, again, against Blue Eyes here. Alright, so we're just going to pick up with Fiendsmith stuff on the follow-up turn after bouncing our opponent's board, and as you can see, that is going to be enough to seal the deal for this particular game. Alright, going into this next one here. Yeah, the hand trap ratio, I think I'm playing 11 hand traps? Or is it 10? No, I think it's 11. Yeah, it is 11. Generally, I aim for about 12, but like, 11's close enough. 12 isn't necessarily like a hard and fast rule. I do try to be a little bit flexible with that. There are some decks where I go a little bit lower. And I don't know, thinking about how I built that Sprite deck in that last video, that might actually be a situation where I kind of want to do that. But I think some people in the comments kind of pointed that out as well. I saw a lot of people in the comments of that video also particularly asking for a 60 card build. So I think we'll probably oblige with that sooner rather than later. Like after I test the build, you know, that I have up for on the channel right now for Sprite in that last video, then I'll try out a 60 card build after that or something. But anyway, back to Punk. Yeah, this Blue Eyes opponent here, able to push through the Ghost Ogre on the True Light and still in on a Blue Eyes Spirit Dragon. But just the one is not nearly as scary as, of course, a full end board from them. Yeah, I went for the normal summon Lacrima here because I have the Deer Note in hand. The Deer Note might seem like it was a really bad draw, but it's actually not a horrible one here. Because I can still Ogre Dance for Amin and then special summon it. So, once again, I'm going to go for the option of starting with the Fiendsmith stuff to bait out our opponent's negates. We've already baited out a Veiler from them, and then now the Blue Eye Spirit Dragon going into Ultimate Spirit Dragon. Of course, the Engraver effect to send will end up baiting that out, so hopefully we'll be good after that. Yeah, I think it's not a hot take to say that Fiendsmith is pretty dang busted in the game right now in its current iteration. I think Engraver to 1 is probably a much needed hit. Well, not even probably, it is definitely a much needed hit, but I will say, as I've been saying since it's come out, I like the Fiendsmith engine and what it does for a lot of decks, including P.U.N.K. Just really able to bring up decks like this to the current meta's power level. Like, yeah, it's really easy to look at against Snake Eye and Primite Fiendsmith control and be like, oh, the engine's overpowered. And again, it is. It definitely is. I'm not arguing against that. But, you know, it's not all cons. There are some pros. And again, for me, the big pro here is just the fact that, you know, rogue decks like P.U.N.K do definitely feel that power boost from including a Fiendsmith engine. Once again, we have yet another hand here where we're able to start with the Fiendsmith stuff and before we go into P.U.N.K plays. And as I said, it really is just the best part about playing this deck, or these engines together. This engine in this deck, I mean. The E-Tally at 3 is also so noticeable. I mean, you've been seeing it in these hands where you like, it feels like we have it every single time. And the nice thing is too, even if you already have like full combo and you really don't need E-Tally at all, one, it can always just go into Fiendsmith stuff / making an Appaloosa even bigger. Two, if you don't want to do that, you can always set it and then activate it to special summon a Ghost Ogre from your deck. For this build, I'm only playing the one Ghost Ogre. Because it's searchable, I really think that's about all you need. Unless you did want to have the option to like summon it off E-Tally and also search it. But you know, Ghost Ogre can only be used once per turn, so that is only something you'd really worry about in the grind game. And if you're resolving Ghost Ogre, it's probably not going to be a grind game anyway, because you're probably using it against a key card like True Light or something. But you know, I will say this game, I talked at the beginning of the video about how we're playing IP and Caesar in the extra deck, and I never summoned either of them. This game, I think I could have summoned a Caesar here and still been able to make an Appaloosa while going full P.U.N.K combo. I think we had that many extra bodies between the E-Telly and having Ogre Dance and Rising Scale, but it's a little bit win more. Even if it doesn't play into Nib because we have the Caesar up, it does still play into like every other hand trap under the sun. And I don't know. It's like it just doesn't feel super necessary. It wouldn't be a horrible play. Wouldn't admonish somebody for doing it, but not the most necessary play in the world, in my opinion. But yeah, once again, I can't emphasize enough how this truly was kind of like with Yubel last season or the season before, I don't remember. Yubel relatively recently, where I really did feel like I just ranked up to Master while not even trying. Because I kind of resigned myself. Like, it's the 30th, the day I played these games. I kind of had resigned myself to be like, alright, I'm probably just going to fall back to Platinum, but at least I can grind out a lot of Sprite. But in the meantime, I'll just play some P.U.N.K and maybe get enough replays for video like I'm doing now. But yeah, ended up getting the enough wins. The record overall for this play session, it was 13 games, and we went 10-3. 10-3 is a pretty solid record there. I think the win rate conversion was like 76 and some change %, which is obviously phenomenal. I would say that anything above 55% win rate should be considered exceptional, relative to volume, of course. You know, 55% win rate on like 13 games is like, eh. But of course, also, you know, take the 76% win rate in a similar grain of salt because the game volume was so low. Alright, so here is going to be our last game here. Decided to start off by impriming the Beckoning Beast because I was like, it's probably Yubel, but I guess it could be Sprite. But thinking it was more likely Yubel, I was like, yeah, I'll just use the imprim here because I have Ash Shoe for an extender. They did have an extender in the form of a Nightmare Pain, but we're able to negate that. They're still able to make Phantom with a Spirit in hand, but that's not too bad. We'd certainly have the ability to play through a Phantom here. Unfortunately, what I don't have the ability to do is play through a Max C in this kind of a hand. Really unfortunate that we can't punish our opponent here for playing Max C, and I'll just say, just god-awful timing. Like, listen, I understand wanting to shotgun it to an extent. I mean, I still don't think it's correct. Most of the time people do it. But if you're going to shotgun it, like, do it during... Don't play in a triple attack for no reason. Do it during the draw or standby phase, right? Doing it in response to something like Ogre Dance is just begging to get punished, and it's a personal pet peeve of mine when I'm not able to punish an opponent fully, but they're going to concede after they see we can go, yeah, super off here into Fiendsmith and Punk stuff, no problem on the follow-up. So, alright, here is my deck list here at the very end. Not too different from where we were at before, but still, of course, wanted to show it off here. So, thanks for watching the video here. So we got some Sprite games coming up. I am going to stream that gameplay that's coming up. So if you want to catch it live before it goes out on YouTube edited, definitely make sure to, again, catch the live streams here. Subscribe, or if you'd rather watch on Twitch, follow and sub over there to get those notifications. But that's going to be all for now. Thanks for watching all the way to the end of the video. That is the best way to support smaller YouTube channels like mine. So that kind of support is very, very much appreciated. Which is something I always say because it is extremely true. You have no idea how much that actually really does help here. So, but yeah, no, like I was saying up at the top there, the outro, we're going to be moving on to Sprite. We're going to be focusing on that a lot this upcoming season with the unbans. You all know me. So, yeah, we're just got a few more extra deck cards here as we round it out. Yeah, like I said, that Caesar and IP I think is definitely coming out. I just can't see it ever really coming up, but Caesar I can see myself experimenting with. Anyway, let's go wrap it up. This is Hexlex. I am signing out, and also hoping you have a fantastic day. Hey everybody, Hexlex here. Thank you so very much for watching all the way to the very end of the video, which by the way is one of the best ways to support the channel. Speaking of supporting the channel, take a look at the names on screen. These are folks who have been so generous as to either join as a YouTube member or subscribe over on patreon.com/Hexlex to support. There's also perks for doing so. If you would like to see YouTube videos early, as well as some exclusive videos that get uploaded to YouTube, but for one reason or another I decide not to publish, definitely go ahead and hit that join button to see content early, as well as some exclusive content. If you're looking for more exclusive content, over on patreon.com, I upload exclusive videos that are not posted on YouTube just about every single day. Whether you choose to subscribe over on Patreon, join as a YouTube member, or simply continue to watch, your support is greatly appreciated. Thank you so very much. But for now, this is Hexlex. I am signing out, and I hope that you have a fantastic day.